Uh-oh. What happened? Oh my goodness, what's happening here? Let's try this again. Come on, Jack. Hello, hello, hello.
How you doing?
All right. Gotcha. Huh.
Been a rough week. Didn't really get much prep done, but that's okay. I'll fill it in.
We'll be good.
Yeah. How did Censorship go?
Went really well. It was a little low energy to kind of start out with because CS wasn't feeling good at the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, I could feel that. And then we had Barry come in, and he wasn't like, I don't know if about taking over the show. I'm like, okay. I'm like, there we go. But
I don't think I know Barry.
yeah,
I'm not real.
Barry's a great guy, and I didn't want to just stick it to him. I was like, he's like, any way we can, and I'm like, last minute. I'm like, no, almost last minute to take and do an encore. I'm like, no, I can't do that right now. I'm like, kind of late on that, but
Right.
but. Well, you got about 30 seconds or so until we get going. Hey, Roger, do exclamation point so space at Chulls. And give him a shout out and pin him up there, please. Getting ready to take and do that countdown for you. You all set?
Oh, yeah.
Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and on the radio side right now.
Welcome back, all you guys out there in Radio Land, to the Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live show. We are broadcasting from 300 feet down in an abandoned nuclear missile silo somewhere lost deep in the post-apocalyptic wastelands of the Dakota Territories. And just today, high above us, we saw literally hordes of radioactive vampiric jackalopes, believe it or not, and they were running wild. They were glowing and looking for human flesh. That's okay. Joined as always by the paranormal crime fighting duo. Daisy and the Sundance Kid are working security in the silo tonight. And as always, there is a $10 cover charge and a 2-drink minimum. Please be kind to your waitress. And this has been an interesting week. I haven't had a lot of time this week to really delve into a lot of deep research. So we're going to sort of go back over some topics we've discussed in kind of a new light. A new piece of research did come to me this week, which really fits well into the puzzle pieces that I've been sort of theoretically fashioning together to support the idea that there is a disincarnate being that's making its home at Skinwalker Ranch, and that this being may be the demiurge of Gnostic belief systems. It's possible. I've covered the demiurge in a past broadcast, but it kind of confuses people, so we're going to go back over that this evening. We've got some interesting paranormal in the news and a little bit of cryptid corner this evening. Probably the biggest paranormal in the news this evening is Anna Paulina Luna, the congresswoman who is really heading up like all these different committees having to do with UAP disclosure and other big government secrets that they say will be disclosed. Well, she was on the Joe Rogan podcast this week and had some pretty shocking stuff to say. She admitted that she has been in a skiff, which is a secured facility where upper top secret level type information is held. If you want to see that information, you have to show up to one of these buildings that are completely secure in order to view it. And that's what she did. And she says that she saw indisputable photographic and regular documentation to prove. And I said prove. She says she's very, very confident that these beings behind the UAP, the real UAPs, I'm not talking about the man-made attempts at reproducing their technology, but the real UAPs that they have in their possession appear to be interdimensional in nature. That's right, guys. You have one of the main Congress people in the whole government, and she was on the biggest podcast in the world saying that she has inside information from a skiff that to her proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that what we are dealing with are interdimensional entities. So we are going to have to take her at her word on that. I don't think that for a minute she was trying to pull the skin over our eyes, the wool over our eyes. And she's been straightforward and very upfront about her desire for UAP disclosure her entire career. And it's quite possible that, she sees repercussions for saying the things that she said. I don't think she really cares. But News Nation is even running a story on it, and they have to say, GOP rep Anna Paulina Luna told Joe Rogan she has viewed evidence of interdimensional beings on Earth. Luna, who leads a task force for the declassification of federal secrets created by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, joined Rogan on his eponymous podcast that was released Wednesday. The Floridian told Rogan she met F-15 pilots who had likely encounters with UAPs while she was working as an airfield manager at Portland International Guard. While not viewing portals or UAPs herself, Luna said she had seen photographic evidence, historical evidence, and spoken to Air Force pilots who alleged the Air Force was covering up UAP sightings. Quote, "There's definitely something I can tell you with confidence that we don't know how to explain currently," Luna told Rogan. Luna added she believes there are interdimensional beings that, quote, "can operate through the time space that we currently have." She also believes that the U.S. has reverse engineered technology to replicate crafts by those who are not made by those who are not mankind. Quote, "Without getting into classified conversations, there have been incidences where I believe very credible people have reported that there have been movements outside of time and space," Luna said. Going on, she says, "Based on the photos I've seen, I'm very confident that there's things out there that have not been created by mankind." And that's running on News Nation. If you haven't seen the Rogan podcast, it's well worth seeing. If you don't know who Anna Paulina Luna is, you might want to make yourself familiar with her. She's probably the best advocate we have in the government, and she's out there fighting every day for us. So that's a good thing. You know, Fox News this week is running a very interesting special, if you will, with their star field reporter, Abby Hornacek, and it's all about the Mothman. The Mothman is very interesting topic for Fox News to cover. Why they would cover it to the degree that they're covering it and they literally go and talk to all of the surviving eyewitnesses who were there and saw it with their own eyes at the time. And, you know, it's, I think, part of the overall UAP disclosure. When you, and this is tonight's Cryptid Corner, is about the Mothman entity. So, you know, in cryptozoology, you have three circles. You have Lazarus species. Those are species that went extinct, and somehow the life wave of our planet reintroduces them into our ecology again. They sort of resurrect themselves. The thylacine, or the Tasmanian tiger, as it's known, is one of these species. There has been irrefutable video evidence of a thylacine living in the here and now. That's out there if you want to take a look at that. And then you have the center circle, which are the WWOW animals. And then you have the third circle, which are emergent species like the South Texas chupacabra. The center circle, which encompasses the WWOW animals like Dogman, like Bigfoot, like Mothman. And you have to, in each case, with the WWOW animals, ask yourself a series of questions. Is this a viable breeding species of some kind, replicating itself within our biosphere in a biological fashion? Or is this, like the Dover demon, a one-off cryptozoological animal? In other words, was there only one of them? And if there's only one of them, we have to come to the grim conclusion that it was an artificial construction of some kind, not a breeding species. Jonathan Keel makes it clear in the book Mothman Prophecies, not the horse crap of a movie that they made out of the book, which didn't include any of the pertinent information about the UFO connection to Mothman. In fact, more UFOs were seen in Point Pleasant around the Mothman sightings than at any other time in history. And Keel himself had traveled to Point Pleasant because of the UFO activity, not because there were Mothman sightings. The Mothman sightings came as part of this UFO wave. He also held the belief that there are possibly, and this ties back into Anna Paulina Luna, entities here on the planet that are extra dimensional in nature, that can see outside the confines of our space and our time, and can therefore see the larger picture of the event stream as it's taking place. And that's how and why it knew where John Keel would be before he even got there. You know, Jonathan Keel would often just hit the road on his way to Point Pleasant and would randomly select a motel to stay at for the night on his way down there from Washington, D.C. And he would go in to check into the motel, and there would be a message waiting for him. That's an entity that can see outside of space and time, and knew things that it shouldn't know. You know, Keel reported one time that he had interviewed a number of alien abductees, and he got a phone call from this Mothman entity, really going as Indrid Cold, which was a man that walked around the town asking very bizarre questions about Jonathan Keel, and he went by the name Indrid Cold. Well, Keel was told to show up to a field one time in the middle of the night to witness something that would be displayed for him. And what he saw were two of the alien abductees that he had worked with that didn't know each other appear. They met in that field. One of them handed the other one a weird cube of some kind, and she walked off into the woods with it. He later got a message to the, basically paraphrasing, see what I can do, see how I control people. This can happen to you. And he got a glimpse into this whole world of activity that's taking place that involves what appears to be an extra dimensional entity of some kind. And here we have one of the premier congresswoman in the government, head of all of these different committees, saying, yep, I've seen evidence that there are in fact interdimensional creatures that are interacting with humanity. That all ties in tonight with our main topic, which is this whole idea that living at Skinwalker Ranch is the so-called demiurge. The demiurge was a false god, according to Gnostic belief, that sort of controlled all of the illusion of creation around us. That the creation we see around us is an illusion, an attempt to cover over the real creation by God. And they believed that this entity could take human form, something that was later voiced by the world famous occultist Aleister Crowley, who said that it did appear to him in human form at one time. Fascinating. So, the Mothman appears to be connected intimately with the UFO activity that was taking place in Point Pleasant at that time. And it appears as though both the activity and the creature involved were interdimensional in nature. That's interesting because it's at Point Pleasant and in the Mothman enigma that we get our very first glimpses, really, of the Men in Black. In fact, Mary Heyer, who ran the town newspaper, had a couple of run-ins with Men in Black who attempted to intimidate her into not running certain stories. And the only known real photograph of a man in black was taken by her, and it's out there on the internet, and you can see what one of these guys looks like. He's about half a block down on the other side of the street, but she got a pretty decent photograph of him wearing his black suit, sunglasses, hat, you name it. He fit the bill perfectly. And so, you know, that's a crossway into the Men in Black enigma. Also, who are the Men in Black? What are the Men in Black? We don't know. That should be the subject of an upcoming show. There's a mountain of interesting information out there about it. Let's see here. Pulling up my supercomputer with all of the thousands of news streams on here. Wow, you even have the Huffington Post and the New York Post, the Daily Mail, the Hill, you name it, man. It's out there. It's all about Anna Paulina Luna and her claims about these interdimensional entities. So really the scenario with the UAP disclosure works out in a strange way, because now you're dealing with interdimensional entities who we were able somehow to acquire craft from another dimension. Think about that. You know, I listened to her interview and she mentioned it was like us traveling back in time and leaving an iPhone with a tribe of cavemen and asking them to replicate it. That's the technology advancement that you're talking about. How could cavemen go about replicating an iPhone? Because that was the task left to them. And a healthy amount of fear that if that actually fell into the right hands of our enemies and they were able to replicate it and weaponize it, that would be the end. That's the end of the struggle of control of the planet right there. Because if you got that technology, you just took the high seat on the hill. You are like Philip K. Dick's series, The Man in the High Castle, at that stage. And you can write your own ticket. If you have that kind of technology, you are undefeatable. So you can see why there are intelligence elements out there in the government who make that argument constantly to our politicians, who then keep their mouth shut. And this has been perpetuating itself for 80 years. On top of that, you have a very large group of highly religious individuals involved in the military and at the Pentagon and all around the UAP program. And every time that they are faced with this kind of evidence, they turn to superstition, like humans always have, and they start saying, that's the devil's work. So that's the battle we're fighting. You're fighting a bunch of people that show up to church every Sunday and have a belief system that doesn't include at all the possibility that we are victimized by an interdimensional species, which had to be created by the same God. You know, it's interesting because Anna Paulina Luna says that she still has her religious views and all of that, and has somehow made peace with the idea of, you know, organized religion not having anything in its writing about, hey, look out for these interdimensional beings. And that's part of the ontological shock that might take place, but she seems to handle it well, so maybe others will too. But and maybe they'll all just say, yeah, that's the devil. And we won't ever get real disclosure or anything like that. It's quite possible. You know, it's one of those battles that has many different fronts on it, and you're fighting all kinds of cross currents and riptides when it gets down to it. But the WebBot tells us that this secret is part of the nature of the universe, and the nature of the universe is a self-revealing nature, meaning that it will disclose itself to the masses sooner or later. The small group of people who deem themselves the guardians of human consciousness at this stage, by not allowing others to share in that knowledge, will be bypassed altogether at some point. And people will come in and have to accept the reality of these things. How many people do you know who are willing, really, in your life to accept the reality of these things and to act accordingly, right? I mean, it's not, if it's not in your face every day, all day, like an electric bill, really, how much is it going to cause people to change their behavior? And that's the whole point. They don't want you to change your behavior. You know, there's the old adage about boiling a frog alive. You can take a frog, go down to your pond, sit there and wait for a big, juicy bullfrog, pick it up, take it home, and boil a pan of water. But when that water's good and boiling hot, take the frog and toss it in there. What you're going to see is the frog jump out of the water in response to the pain. But you can take that same frog and you can put it in a cool pan of water and set it on the stove and turn the burner on, and you can slowly boil it to death. That's the human species right now. So we need to awaken. We need to realize what's going on. And, you know, it's shows like this that attempt to propagate the truth. I'm big on facts. I'm big on figures. I'm big on actually having a source for the information I'm relaying to you guys. There's far too much noise going on the internet with people discussing alternate timelines and parallel universes and the 20 and back program and stuff that literally has zero shred of evidence. Give me names, give me dates, give me facts, give me figures, give me sources. Just because you sit there and say something is true doesn't make it true. And all of the BS that's going on out there on the internet and various conferences, so-called disclosure conferences, talking about things that absolutely got created out of nowhere and propagating it like it's the truth. That's happening all over the place. So beware, guys. Tune into my show. You're going to get facts, figures, and things that you can look up for yourself, so you know I'm telling you the truth. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about this new piece of evidence that was dropped into my lap, and that has to do with the crystal caves of Mexico. What if I told you that there are quartz crystals in caves deep in Mexico that are so big they're the size of high-rise buildings? And what if I told you that something amazing was discovered living in those crystals? We'll get back to that right after our break.
We're on radio break. And wow, you said you wasn't prepared. You do so well, Jack.
Oh, thanks.
I love how you can just, come in. You and Nancy and John, man, you guys can just come in on the fly. I was like, man, I was never able to do well. After a while, you get used to it, and you once you get a rhythm in that. But man,
Right.
I was a little worried and concerned when you said, "Hey, I'm not, real prepared for tonight." I'm like, okay. We started out low energy and everything's coming up, and I'm like, I'm loving it. What do we got for Cryptic Corner tonight?
Well, I'm kind of covering it with the Mothman. He's my
Okay.
one-off cryptid. He's in the center circle of the woo animals, and we're trying to figure out, because cryptozoologists are still looking for the Mothman, and it's really part of the ufology phenomenon. It's not part of cryptozoology.
Yeah, it kind of blends between the two. So yeah, I mean that's a great bridge creature. Same with what is it? Reptilians.
Yep. The chain of custody for the reptilian alien thing goes back to Blavatsky.
Yeah.
Madame Blavatsky, in her theological writings, she said that she had seen ancient parchments describing a race of human serpents, men with serpent-like attributes. So that's very interesting.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Especially when she had really good connections to Tibet and places like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Her acolytes went over there to do some, back and forth between the monks.
Right.
So, collaboration, I should say. Yeah. Yeah, have you ever seen that little meme that it shows a picture of like the Aztecs or Incas and that, and they're throwing these bodies over into this pit where this giant reptilian thing is. It was like how to feed your god. I'm like,
funny.
okay. I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense now,
That's funny. One of the guy who wrote the Conan Barbarian stories and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Talked about a race of serpentine humans, and he got that from Blavatsky, but that's one of the sources of one of the chains of custody for the whole reptilian alien thing is that guy.
Big shout out to Roger, who's been restreaming us tonight on his platforms. Thank you so much. He's been in here all night. And also, he says his brother loves that story you told earlier about the crystal caves.
Oh, yeah. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure if MC is restreaming us tonight yet or not. He probably will when we break in with Nancy.
Cool.
She did really good, and that really, I don't think they were expecting that energy boost, but they really needed that.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Kind of wish Yodivation was back, but she'll return to us soon.
Nice. Yeah, boy, these Crystal K, I'm looking at pictures of them. They are just the most insane.
Hey, we do video, so if you want to take and throw those up for folks on the video side to see, that's fine.
How do I do that?
Share screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We got 30 seconds and we can be back. Yeah, anytime you want to take and do that for your show, that'd be great. And then.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do this. I'll look this up here.
Yeah, but if you want to, you don't have to share your audio with that. We're getting ready for your countdown here. You all set?
Yep.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are live and back on the radio side. right now, Jack.
Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live. I'm your host, Jack Carey, your own personal guide to the Twilight Zone. And, you know, I've got a voice for smell-o-vision and a face for milk cartons, and I'm here on the radio talking to you guys. So, let's see here. I'm going to pull up something for our video people. Can you see that?
No, but
No?
no. I was looking for, but hold on. Let me bring down the this real quick, and maybe we can see it in the chat. Oh no, guess not. I tried.
Oh, never
yeah,
mind.
do
I
it.
got you.
If-
Hang on just a
We'll
second.
just do a share screen next time.
Oh, I got it. Hang on just a second. Here you go. Boom. How's
Here it
that?
comes. There it is. Oh my God! Wow, that's amazing, Jack.
Yeah. So, I got a picture up on the screen for you for the video feed out there, guys. But if you're just on the radio, what I have up is a picture of just a small portion of the Crystal Caves in Mexico. And I have to tell you, this is just a small deposit of quartz crystal as far as the planet is concerned. Our entire inner part of our planet is nothing but this quartz crystalline structure with quartz crystals as big as buildings. Think about that. The environment is so deadly that scientists can only expose themselves for 10 minutes at a time. The pressure, the humidity, and a very strange energy is emanating from the crystals themselves. And what if I told you that scientists have drilled into these quartz crystals and they have extracted a liquid from them? And what if I told you that that liquid was analyzed and it was found to be literally teeming with alien microbes? That's right, guys. It has been scientifically proven that an alien life form is living in the crystalline structure of our planet. Look it up for yourselves. And this ties into my entire theory that what we are seeing here is an alien intelligence. What those microbes are its essence. That this alien intelligence lives within the crystalline structure of the earth, and it's a shape-shifting entity. It can change form at will. It can alter reality around us. It can do all of the things that the demiurge of so-called Gnostic belief could do. Is it possible they were right? Because in my theory here, guys, is the fact that you can look all around the world, and I've written a book called The Devil's Key that discusses all of this in great detail. Not that it matters, nobody buys books anymore, nobody reads books anymore, and any attempt to try to monetize paranormal information is an absolute bad bet. It cannot be done. I'm telling you that after 30 years of being in the paranormal world, it's an impossibility. And you should always take from the mysteries. Never allow the mysteries to take from you. I have seen many an individual take a powered nosedive with occult assistance. It turned, what ends up happening is interest into paranormal subject matter often causes obsession. Obsession takes over a person's life, and they wake up 3 decades later with nothing. It has stolen everything from them. Just don't be one of those people. So, but getting back to our conversation, my idea, my theory, my new exotic paranormal theory, and this is a major new piece of the puzzle that fell into my lap this week by way of William Shatner, actually. Captain Kirk dropped it in my lap. That's a weird world, isn't it? Can't make that stuff up. So they extracted this liquid. There are alien life forms living in the liquid. I wager those life forms are the essence of the demiurge. And I wager that there are quartz crystal deposits, very large quartz crystal deposits that are underneath Skinwalker Ranch at some level. And that this thing is able, through some combination of elements in the mesa, to come up and to basically make its residence there, to manifest itself there. Recently, if you've been watching Skinwalker Ranch, something unseen, an unseen entity went into their computer lab, logged off all the computers, erased a bunch of information, turned the cameras around, you name it. Just ransacked them. And this has been going on since Skinwalker Ranch has begun to be studied. You know, Brandon Fugel just a few weeks ago admitted on a podcast that he is part of ongoing high-level Pentagon discussions concerning what appears to be an alien consciousness living in that landscape. I mentioned the fact that this thing can take form, take shape. It can literally become carnate. And what if I told you that Fugel admitted that they discovered on the ranch and have in their possession, as I previously mentioned, a real carcass of a dire wolf, a species that died out 130,000 years ago, a fleshy, bony, it was maggot-ridden at the time of its discovery. This was something that just died. It wasn't found in ice, wasn't found buried in the mesa. It was laying in the actual gulch of the ranch. What if I told you that there were intelligence agents on the ranch at one point, and this was written in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon by Dr. Colm Kelleher and George Knapp, and that their presence on the ranch caused a dogman manifestation to occur 1,000 miles away to one of the wives of one of the intelligence agents involved at the ranch. Would it be natural then for us to begin to ask the cryptozoological question, is it the source of all dogman sightings? And if not, why not? Could this crystal entity be taking the form of various paranormal phenomenon? I've even previously entertained the notion that this could be an imprisoned alien entity on this planet that is attempting to, well, socially engineer a surface species in such a way that it can make its escape. Think about that possibility. But really, what we need to begin to focus on is the idea that all of the various devil triangle areas around the world, there's 12 of them that were identified by Ivan T. Sanderson, the intelligence agent turned cryptozoologist. If you're not familiar with the work of Ivan T. Sanderson, please familiarize yourselves with his work. His work, as we are going along in the event stream, is proving to be more and more accurate. Often, as an investigator into private cases that I do, you always have to go back to the source. Think of every stream of information as a stream of water. It starts really clear and pure at the spring source, and as it makes its way down the river, it gets dirtier and muddier and less like its original source. So always go back to the earliest accounts if you can. Always go back to the very to information that was derived from a time before the internet, a time before cross-contamination began to occur between groups of people. Because now, like I was previously preaching on my soapbox, you have a bunch of people in the ufology arena, and it's crazy to me. These people just have the tens of thousands of followers, and they're just spewing crap. Absolute crap. Talking about a 20 and back program they have to Mars on a separate timeline, and there's these time machines, and by God, somebody somewhere said it, so it must be true. There's not one iota of real evidence for any of it. And I would wager that at its source is disinformation campaigns put out by our intelligence agencies on purpose in order to make the rest of us look like we're a bunch of nutcases and can't tell the difference between real, viable intelligence and something somebody said somewhere once on the internet, so it must be true. You know, if you're listening to one of these paranormal sources and they don't say the source of where they're getting that information, I wouldn't pay them any attention. Rest assured, I will always give you the source of where I get my information, and you can find it yourselves and see how the pieces fit together. Maybe that's why they never invite me to their conferences, because after all, I'm not spewing a bunch of crap. So, where are we with all of this? Well, let's take it on premise that the scenario I'm presenting is real. Okay? There is an alien entity living in the crystalline structure of the planet. It appears to have abilities to literally change our perception of reality within a given space and time. This could help to explain all of the missing 411 cases. Cases like the kid who saw his dead grandmother in the woods beckoning him, and when he came over to her, she ended up turning into something else altogether. There's cases like that out there. There are so many missing person cases, and all of this ties together really with the UFO phenomenon in quite a few interesting ways. In other words, how much of the UFO phenomenon is this entity pretending to be that phenomenon? And how much of it is real? That's a good question too. Because when you begin to entertain the notion of a trickster spirit, which is something every indigenous people around the world believed in, then you have to entertain the notion that you've been tricked. You have to entertain the notion of a shape-shifting entity that can make you believe it's something that it's not. For what ends and purposes, only its alien intelligence would know. For what motivation, only its alien intelligence would know. But as I previously mentioned, there is a huge, not often talked about clue at Skinwalker Ranch. This was published quite a long time ago, and if you look long enough through various search engines, you should be able to find a picture of the actual screen capture from the video camera at Skinwalker Ranch that was positioned right on a computer. The computer was off. It was the middle of the night. All of a sudden, the screen begins to flicker, and slowly the screen begins to light up, and an image begins to appear, and it gets clearer and clearer and clearer, and all of a sudden, bam. There it is. And it's two words. And it says, I live. Tell me that's not an entity trying to make communication with the people that are on the ranch. Not only that, let's plug in a very interesting quote that I found this week, deriving its origin from Nikola Tesla, who said, "We may never understand the growth of the crystal, but we can be assured that it is alive." That was Nikola Tesla, guys. So let's plug in the mystery of the crystal skulls, right? What are the odds that a group of indigenous people in South America came across this crystal entity, as I like to call it, began to communicate with it in a shamanic fashion, and it directed them on how to construct those skulls so that it could communicate with them better? What if I told you the mythology of the 12 crystal skulls, and when you bring them together, it creates this force field for the planet? That's all interesting stuff, and it all ties together into this idea that there is, in fact, a crystal entity. What if I told you that the inventor of Kirlian photography, the guy who could take pictures of people's auras, and they still do it today, took a group of people and put them in front of his camera one by one to get their aura photographed, and he put a big chunk of quartz crystal in each one of them's in their hand to hold, and each one held it completely still while the photograph was being taken. And in numerous photographs, he noticed what appeared to him to be a wispy little entity that would rise up out of the stone. As soon as the model would move their hand, the entity would be seen to dart back into the stone again. That's the crystal entity. I knew about it, and I wrote about it as long as 20 years ago in my book, American Sorcerer. But nobody reads books, so that's where that went. And so, does this set mankind up for a battle with the demiurge, right? Does this lead us down the pathway where we will eventually have to face and combat this super entity that's alive in the crystalline structure of our own planet? And how much of that, how much does that entity have to do with, and how much is it perhaps muddying the waters of overall UAP disclosure with what appear to be real other interdimensional entities making their way to our space and time? I have in my possession a memo from the Federal Bureau of Investigation by way of a FOIA request. It has been posted on the internet, so I'm sure you can find it. The memo clearly is from 1947. It was days after the Roswell incident. This internal memo was generated. In the memo, it states that they believed that these entities, these alien beings, were coming from an interdimensional planet, but not a planet of the way you and I think, but their planet on another dimension shares the same point in time and space. And when we detonated our first nuclear weapons, it damaged their world. There's something about nuclear technology that touches other dimensions. That's why our nuclear facilities, our nuclear ships, submarines, which I served on, our nuclear reactors of all kinds are constantly being buzzed over by these craft. And it's not like they're propelling themselves off of it. Who knows why they're so obsessed with it? Probably because they know that if there's another nuclear detonation of some kind, it's going to damage their other world. The FBI memo goes on to state that they have chosen to colonize this planet because theirs is damaged. And we did it. And that's why they feel like they have the right to do what they're doing. Now imagine an interdimensional species that doesn't quite have the DNA to make it on this dimension. What might a species like that do? Might it study the DNA of living, intelligent beings that are able to survive on this dimension? And might it begin to experiment with that DNA and its own DNA in an attempt to create a so-called soul container, as many abductees have been told, so that it can reside on this dimension? You see what I'm getting at? Anna Paulina Luna may have put the final piece of the puzzle together for us in one podcast. Because if she's to be believed, and if she's right, and they are interdimensional in nature, then the FBI memo is completely, totally verified and is probably true. And we can begin then to really unravel an entire ball of yarn here. So we have a scenario by which primates on this planet evolved to the point where we blew up a nuclear weapon. It damaged these aliens' planet on their plane of existence, which is shared by ours. They have a way of opening interdimensional doorways and traveling through them. They came to see the source of where that damage was, and now they are attempting to openly colonize this other planet. That's the scenario that's presenting itself to us. And if the abductees are to be believed, it has taken them 8 full generations of hybrids being bred, being experimented to the point where they can now introduce their hybrids into human society without them being detected at all. They look just like you and me, and if you saw a photograph of a group of alien hybrid beings, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But according to all abduction testimony in its totality, by way of various researchers everywhere, anyone from Bud Hopkins to Johnny Mack to the professor over at Temple University, they all will tell you that the abductees are coming back saying that these new hybrids look just like us, but they have a nasty little secret. And that little secret is that they are neurologically superior to other humans. In other words, they can telepathically control human thought, emotion, and action within a given distance. And that, my friends, would be the ultimate social engineering. So that's our rabbit hole for tonight, guys. Join me next week, and we will explore another strange paranormal rabbit hole. Stay tuned for the beautiful, talented, genius Nancy Planeta will be taking you on a tour of the Vixen's Vault coming up. I'll see you next week.
Great show, Jack. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full show.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what did you make tonight? Steaks?
No, I actually made pork chops and
Oh man.
twice baked potatoes and salad. So.
Oh. Okay.
So barbecue pork chops.
Barbecue chops.
That's right.
Them's the best.
That's the good stuff. So
I like them smoked or deep fried. That's my best way of doing it.
Oh shoot, yeah, I love a fried pork chop. I haven't fried pork chops in a long time. I'm gonna have to.
There's a place. There's a place here in town that I get them, and they got some really big ones. And I usually get them with 2 sunny side eggs on there, 2 biscuits, and
yum.
And then what is it on the side? I get let's see, biscuits and gravy, white gravy, that I put over top the pork chops too, and hash browns or home fries. I like the home fries there. They got some really good home fries. Lots of onions and peppers in them. Seasoned well. Good. Jason Armstrong in Facebook chat. Thanks for joining us. And we also had, who else over here? DK Conspiracy. And we had Davey Z over in Rumble. As well as all the great folks over in D Live. Appreciate each and every one of you. DK is over there as well, along with MC Dirty Work. I'm going to get ready and switch over to, that's right, the Vixen's Vault. So take care, everybody. And I'll catch up with you, Jack. You coming over for a little bit, too?
I'll be signed on. I've got to go upstairs and check on some stuff, but I'll try to join in part of the show here this evening.
All right. Sounds good. Catch you then.
All right. See ya.
Bye. All right, gonna get the Vixen's Vault up with her Legion of Chaos. Do. Let's get Roger, Mark, Sonia, Mark, Jack, David. Where'd Raph go? I've seen Raph in here somewhere. Here's David. Hello.
Hello.
Did I get... And, here we go. MC.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Hi.
Let me try to find MC. There he is. Sending him the deal again.
Okay.
And here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are live and on the radio side right now.
And welcome, folks. Welcome back to the Vixen's Vault. Today's date is Wednesday, August the 20th, 2025. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. It's been an interesting week again. Like, it seems like as these weeks progress, it's getting more and more interesting as time goes on. Lots going on in the news, and actually a lot going on outside of the news, like unusual things. In fact, I figured I would open up the show tonight talking about something that I actually got teased about online because one of the girls I used to work with in the paranormal, who actually lives close by in Florida, we had basically an article posted and written and notated about skunk ape. Now, to give you guys an idea, skunk ape is Florida's version of Bigfoot. That's our name for it because whenever there are sightings of this creature or whatever it is, or even those who, if it's a hoax, those who are going through the painful procedure of hoaxing it are actually, they've discovered the most pungent odor you could possibly imagine that seems to follow along with the presence of whatever this is, whether it be a hoax, whether it be a creature, whether it be some type of something within the ecosystem that we haven't identified yet, don't know, but the smell is absolutely atrocious. Thus, the nickname skunk ape. And it's interesting because where these sightings occurred, it was two of them, and it was not one witness, it was multiple witnesses. But where this happened was actually an area I had visited with Raphael. I think it was about maybe a year and a half ago. And it's a place where we were actually out on a boat, and it's where Monkey Island is, up in a little bit north of us here. And very, very wetlandish area, very heavily wooded, beautiful to say the least, but predominantly quiet. And most of the, I guess you could say, humans that occupy that area are pretty much, excuse the expression, hillbillies. Best way to describe them. But when we were disembarking from the boat, and we were at a marina, but it was like a shanty marina. That's the best way I can describe it. We were disembarking, and there were some dock workers that were. Go ahead.
No.
Do what?
Go ahead. No, nothing. Go ahead.
But there were some dock workers there that literally they were just talking amongst themselves, and they were actually talking about skunk ape. And I was listening to their conversation. They were talking about how bad it smells and how these sightings had been more and more common lately, and how this one guy was like, "Oh yeah, I saw one like a year and a half ago," and I just found it interesting because, again, they had no idea who I was. They had no idea I was listening, but I was aware that this is an area that is the sightings of skunk ape usually occur in this area. Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, and Hillsborough seem to be, and the area where Ocala is, seem to be some of the real hot spots where there's sightings. But anyway, going back to the original reason why I brought this up, my girlfriend Tracy had actually said skunk ape. Nah, come on. What? We don't Bigfoot in Florida? Come on, there's no Bigfoot in Florida. And I'm like, I literally post back to her, you need to Google skunk ape and Florida together and tell me the results, because you're going to be surprised, because there's actually quite a few sightings, quite a few reports, and it's never a pleasant report. It's always because of the horrendous smell that accompanies these things. And it was funny because I was describing it earlier to Rafi. I was like, what it supposedly smells like. And I said, you got to wonder if it's either A, a pheromone, or B, a glandular secretion as like a fight or flight, because there's a lot of animals that do that. Wolves, cats, they secrete a horrible stench from their glands when they're upset, they're scared, or they're startled. So yeah, that could be the reason why, or it could just be the fact that, hey, it's Florida. And if you are outside without air conditioning for any length of time in the summertime, you are going to smell to the high heavens, especially if you don't have anything to, buffer that scent at all. Period. Amen. Okay, but I figured I'd hit on that first as we were getting into the show tonight, because I found that entertaining, and it runs along the lines of the paranormal, and yeah, I thought it was kind of cool and funny. But moving on from that, again, it has been a very interesting week. We've had a lot going on in the press. I know a lot of people are happy and unhappy with what's going on, let's say, in the news. We did have the meeting of the minds, as we'll call it. Putin and Trump met up in Alaska. And I think actually we were on air that day. Was that last Wednesday that they met up? I'm trying to remember what date it was, but I thought we talked about it
Yeah,
on
it
air.
should be something around that time, Nance.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
what I figured.
Friday.
Was it Friday? Because I
Friday?
know I had made the point that I found it very interesting that it was noted that where Putin and Trump met, and this kind of goes more into the conspiratorial side of the show, where they met was actually, it's called Q1, and it is located on the base where they were located, and it's like a bar, a retreat restaurant type deal, but and it's on 17th Street in the area where it's at. And I, as a person who is, again, y'all know me, you listen to the show, I have followed Q since before. Actually, I've followed all those conspiracy threads since before Q even existed. But again, 17 is a very prevalent thing within the Q movement because Q is the 17th letter of the alphabet. So you will find it when people are discussing things and drops and information, the number 17 will come up quite a bit. And again, the fact that the place is called Q1, I was like, oh, come on, please. And the thought process that, once again, people wonder, you see people saying, oh, he's selling out. In fact, I was doing censorship sucks. Earlier, I kind of jumped on with them for a half an hour, and we were talking about the fact that, there's people, the left is making it, Putin is making Trump his yacht, and things like that. But I am of the mind, and y'all have heard me say it a million times, that Trump and Putin are not anywhere close to enemies, that they're closely aligned. And I will back that up with the fact that all of
True
the
story.
all the things going on right now with the DOJ and the upcoming prosecutions for the Russiagate issue, where Tulsi Gabbard's got all the documentation she could possibly want or need, and can make some very credible accusations and charges against people who were involved. In fact, she just revoked security clearances of 16 different individuals working within the White House who were involved in the Russiagate situation, which tells us all that she's getting ready to, basically, there are going to be arrests coming. Now, what I find interesting is, in order to get a lot of that information, it would have to have come from Putin. And
Yes.
that's, keep saying it, guys, everybody's kind of overlooking the obvious here. I'm pretty sure, do y'all remember the soccer ball with the really strange, like almost like encoded symbol on it? And that got passed from Putin to Trump. I think it was like right before the elections. They had met up, and Putin gave Trump that soccer ball. And a lot of people in the Anon community, as well as Patriot movement, had theorized that there was something more to it than just a soccer ball because of the way the pattern was. And, I'm going to jump to theorize that he probably gave him all of the information he needed encoded into that soccer ball, all the documents he could possibly need to go after the people that had set him up. Now,
And wasn't a pattern also in the Starlink?
yes, it was also another. Yep. It does connect to Starlink. Now, what I find very interesting is that, yet again, people will say, well, if that was the case and Trump had the evidence that, everything was a setup from beginning to end, from the moment he took office and started doing things that went against the puppet master's instructions. Because I honestly think that when they realized that Hillary had lost, I think their backup plan was Mike Pence. And I always said that because, again, I'm going to be very honest, and y'all who listen know this very, very well about me, is I do not and have never liked Mike Pence. I think he's an evil little critter that just needs to be flicked. Always believed he was deep state, always believed he was after what was best for their little elite circles, and it had nothing to do with U.S. citizens and what we needed. So I think that the deep state and the Clinton clan and the Obama clan 100% thought that they had some kind of control mechanisms on because of Mike Pence, like he was their insider. But yeah, pretty sure that, again, and that, they targeted people that they knew were powerful, Mike Flynn being one of the biggest targets, General Mike Flynn. Basically, why? Because Mike Flynn headed up intelligence. And he basically knew all of the plans and, let's just say, the choreographed events that the United States had been involved in. So he knew where all the bodies were buried. So they had to remove him, because if he gave that to Trump, again, they would have their heads on a guillotine. So you're seeing all these things happen. And like I said, Russia knew that they were not dealing with Trump. Russia knew that they actually wanted Hillary to get in. And why would they want Hillary to get in? And again, y'all have to pay attention to the news. Pay attention to some of the scandals that were linked to the Clinton name. We had the Uranium One scandal, where, basically as Secretary of State, she allowed for a large amount of our uranium to go to Russia. And yeah, that wasn't Trump, that was Hillary and Obama. And lots of profit was made. Lots of profit was made. So yeah, Russia kind of wanted Hillary in, because Hillary, it would be status quo. They'd both make money. Yep. And they knew they had her because of the Uranium One deal. So that's almost like a blackmail type material. So when Trump got in, that was not advantageous to Russia, but it was advantageous to us. Why? Because now it was a level playing field. I think Putin actually respects Trump. I don't think there's any fear there. I think you have two great leaders. And I say that very honestly. I think Vladimir Putin is a great leader. And I think he thought that with Trump coming into office, things like the Ukraine, because Russia was always pissed off about what happened in the Ukraine.
Well,
And
too, he's a nationalist. He's not a globalist.
correct.
He and Trump are nationalists, which in favor of their own countries, not the global thing that
Not the global level.
that Hillary and all the others had.
Well, yeah, because you forget, right before Trump took office, Putin had given Monsanto the boot out of Russia. You're not bringing your genetically modified anything into this country. Putin never bought into DEI. Putin never bought into any of it.
He didn't have any central banks either. I sent out a post today.
Yep.
Sending out all those countries that were not part of the Rothschild Bank,
Yep.
syndicate.
Well, that's
thing.
that you got to remember how it built up to the point where basically they started touting this Russian interference thing. It really started with the creation of RT News, because they were blowing the whistle on everything. They had a great show called the Truth Seeker that would cover 9/11, the Boston bombing, you name it. Every little false flag, they were covering it. And so they couldn't, that was one leak in the main, basically the talking head media that they couldn't control. And so that was the beginning of it. But then going further into it, as Putin tightened his grasp on his country, he even jailed the Pussy Riot band, was a lesbian band that was doing the LGBT parade in Moscow. He jailed that oligarch that was our puppet over there in Russia. And I don't even think there was any charges, but he had him in jail for quite a long time. And throughout Monsanto, he promised to make Russia a new organic breadbasket of the world. He threw out, the GWO companies. He actually expanded the Russian Orthodox Church using public funding to create thousands of churches that they destroyed during communism. And not only did they expand the Russian Orthodox Church, the end goal was to strengthen the nuclear family unit Basically, everything he did was to counter everything that they were doing to us. And when I say they, I mean the ruling elite, the globalists, the cabal at the top. You know, the
Yep.
global cabal.
Yeah.
He already had control of his country, and he was already routing them out. The problem is that, as he even stated when he did an interview, I think it was with Tucker Carlson, that, you know, he can call out all this stuff, but the United States has a first-class propaganda machine, and they have a tight grip on control on all the information going out. And he laughed. That's why he laughed about it, because he says, you know, we could do it, but it's cost prohibitive. You know, it's as it is. They're already canceling RT News. I mean, you can find it, but it's hard to get to. It's not as accessible as it was when it first started.
Well,
Is
it's
it
been banned
Reuters?
from a lot of.
Is that Reuters? Or is it
No, Russia Today.
Russia
Today is
Okay.
RT.
Okay.
Yep. But I can tell you
Well,
that
it's been banned from
a lot of.
YouTube. So
Yep.
anything that's banned from YouTube is going to have a heck of a time. That's like Press TV as well. Another thing real
Yep.
quick with RT and Press TV is they were both asked right before they were booted from YouTube. They were asked to do something interesting. They were told, don't worry about it. You know, we have a lot of people do this, but we want you to, we, the government, want you to sign up as foreign agents.
Yep.
And it's just paperwork, blah, blah. Then what happened was within a year of that just being paperwork, the main, I forget the gal's name, but the main gal at Press TV, their main anchor, was arrested, held for 3 weeks. She was arrested at Dulles International, I think. If not, it was the other airport in DC. But they held her for 3 weeks. It was a big thing. She wouldn't eat food because she thought they might poison her. I think maybe so too. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that was a big thing there. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that in.
No, that's it's useful information because, you know, I don't know. I know you've got Mark over in the UK, you've got us over here, and I know our information bases are different. We all gather information from different areas. And I will say, I find it interesting the way they try to push Putin back into the old, you know, Cold War type of tyrant. They try to model him into that, like almost like a Stalin Jr. And he's not. He's nowhere close to that.
I am aware that Macron and Starmer, France and President and UK Prime Minister, are pushing for extending war. And actually today, as we talk, I presume, there is a meeting between the US. I'm not sure if it's the entire EU or just selected members of, but Britain and France, obviously, and Germany, and the Ukrainian president. There's a meeting happening at this present moment with them.
Well, I know Zelensky. You know, obviously his little Adolphic self showed up at the White House on Monday in a business suit this time. So, yeah, at least that got, you know, that message got heard. You don't show up to the White House for a meeting with a freaking president and, you know, BDUs. What the heck was he thinking? But, you know, that's him. He's a showman. He's an actor by trade. The man is an actor and not a good one. But, you know, on top of that, I know they had Putin and Trump had come to pretty much some terms of agreement, and it was a little bit of a give and take. And then, you know, went to Zelensky, and Zelensky is like all about, well, you know, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and we're not giving up any territory, and NATO will be brought in. And Putin shot that got shot right out of the water. He said, absolutely not. There will be no NATO in the Ukraine.
No NATO.
Absolutely not.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
And, you know, it's funny because, again, I have a lot of conservative friends and a lot of Democrat friends who are just fully anti-Putin and think this whole Ukraine thing is, you know, Putin's fault. And I'm like, well, he's right. Number one, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Number two,
Correct.
this whole Beelzebub problem started because of NATO. That NATO caused this whole separation to happen, and then our State Department put Zelensky into power when the guy before him wasn't doing what we needed him to do. So again, we have literally caused the situation. No, Putin's absolutely right. NATO has no place in Ukraine, and nor should they be anywhere close to Ukraine. And on top of that,
Ukraine is not part of NATO because they didn't
Correct.
register. They didn't register as a country.
Well, it's not just that. It's not just that. Again, who pays for this? It's not okay. In the UK, it's not the Islamic immigrants who are going to get drafted. Oh no. It's going to be UK citizens that have to pay in blood. Here, it's the same thing. It's not the Latinos and the people pouring across the board. They're not going to get drafted. Oh no, it's going to be our young men and women, because I believe that they're going unisexual with the draft.
Yeah,
so,
but in the UK, you're going to have a lot of disgruntled privates. You're going to have a lot of disgruntled citizens joining the army. Morale will be extremely bad.
Yeah, because they've been betrayed.
If drafting were ever to come back in the UK, which it's not at the moment.
From a broader aspect, I'm going to say that Putin is wholly justified in what he did, and because this goes all the way back to the 2014 Maidan coup that we orchestrated.
Yeah, we did that.
The guy that was president before that democratically elected, no less, was in favor of remaining neutral and still friendly ties with Russia, and we didn't like that, so we overthrew him. And we have plenty of evidence that John McCain and Lindsey Graham were knee deep in the middle of that. And
Victoria Nuland.
Victoria Nuland's recording, they're basically her and the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine were discussing who they're going to place where, like it was a fantasy football draft. But beyond that, after 2014, a lot of people don't know that I remember digging up these videos where the Ukrainians were ruthless. The ethnic Russians in the eastern part of the country did not want to be on board with this neo-Nazi government, so they tried to break off on their own. Problem was, the Ukrainians were not going to let them go that easy. And there were actually videos where they were literally burning down buildings with people in it. And people were literally jumping off third, fourth floor of the building because otherwise they were going to burn with the building. And nobody talks about this. And it just escalated from there. So the state of Donetsk or Donbass, I can't remember, but it's one of the sub states within Ukraine.
I think it's pronounced Donetsk.
Donetsk, because I always say dumbass. Every time I look at it, I'm like, dumbass.
They officially started fighting back, and that's when the Ukrainians started artillery shelling the Russians, and it's just been a wholesale slaughter ever since. That's the reason why Russia went in. That, and he can't have Ukraine in his backyard. We've proven time and time again we can't be trusted.
Well, he can't have NATO in his backyard, which is what that is. And also another thing that I didn't know, maybe everybody else knew, but the repeal of the Smith-Ament Act of 1948.
Smith-Mundt, yes.
Yeah.
Smith-Mundt,
yeah.
HR 5736, indeed.
There you go.
Which means that they could lie to us and give us propaganda, which and I don't know. I know it was probably a President Obama, but I don't know exactly what year. But that's huge.
January 2013 is when it actually passed. They had to attach it to another bill because it wouldn't pass on its own in time for probably Sandy Hook in December of 2012.
Yeah, it was inserted in the NDA of 2013.
That's right. The Smith-Munt, Smith-Munt. Oh God, HR 5736. Right, the Smith-Munt Modernization Act. They want to modernize it. After 1948, you want to modernize, quote unquote, the Smith-Munt Act. Oh God.
It's just like they inserted.
Lie to the people.
Yeah, it's just like they inserted indefinite detention and assassination of U.S. citizens in the NDAA of 2012. You know, they use these bills that they know they can't, they're not popular, they can't get through. They insert them into other bills that they know that have to get through. This is how tyranny is constructed.
Yep. And like I said, it's something where unless you stop and take the time, it's very easy for people to do the propaganda, the rah rah rah. Especially in times when, you know, the country's in chaos, and here in the States we're in chaos. You guys in England y'all are in English chaos, as I like to call it, where it's
very proper. Polite chaos.
It's proper.
Yeah, well,
proper chaos.
If I lived in the UK, I would have been arrested already, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I can imagine there are a lot of UK citizens who are very mad about they've been betrayed, really. They're right. But that's me. I'm an American, so I have no right to say anything.
But the thing is they followed our footsteps at that, because you forget, this started after Obama got elected, and Obama brought in, I mean, the amount of public officials.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. It started back in 97, Blairism. Yeah, this is where the crux of a lot of our issues at the moment, both in the US and in Europe. It comes from that, I don't know. In the US, it's more neocons, but in that driving at the same point. But in UK, Blair has actually sort of introduced the point of mass immigration into our countries. I remember under Gordon Brown's time, our gold was sold for about a third of its cost, a large amount. So yeah, during Tony Blair and Gordon Brown's times, this is where it all sort of originated from.
Yep.
Are we going to break?
Margaret, yeah, I was going to say, I've got to take it out to break, guys. Hang in there. We shall return with more of the Vixen's Vault in just a few moments.
All right. We're only like 2 minutes behind, but we're okay.
Sorry, Nancy.
They got fueled.
That's okay.
They got fueled. They were on fire, man. It was like, wow.
Mark, Mark over in Edward, are you okay? Are you feeling all right?
Yeah.
He's been on vacation, getting lazy and shit. Like,
well, he had a big project, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just busy with various things last week.
Don't let him fool you. He's just getting lazy. He's sleeping all day. And
I wish.
That was
poor Mark. He looks exhausted. That's why I'm saying that. You look exhausted.
I've been coming down on him hard, dude. In the last week since he's been away, I've been like talking so much crap about him. It's pathetic, dude. Just
Mr. Robot, yeah.
No, not even there, dude. I did it with John Galt the other night on Censorship Sucks.
Okay.
Don't believe him.
I told him.
Smith-Munt.
He was horrible, dude. He was horrible. Just a decrepit Englishman.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We know not to believe that. It's more the Smith-Munt, propaganda.
Look, I will tell you this, Mark. John had nothing but good stuff to say about you, even though Roger was picking on you.
Yeah,
he regular votes on my mine's posts.
Well, he roots for you between me and you and our arguments. He always roots for you. And I'm like, dude, you need to stop that. You're an American.
Oh, God.
Well, we have freedom of speech. We can be friends with whomever we want.
Don't say you're French. Oh, please don't
Friends.
say. Oh, okay,
Friends.
okay. I thought you said French.
Friends, not French.
15 times, dude. That's all I gotta say. Okay. It only
Mark,
took
Mark,
us one constitution.
Hey, Mark, if you want to stop them from talking about you, just say you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Everybody knows people in England. All of them are Jewish. I mean, that's like.
Oh my God.
Actually, as far as I'm aware, I don't know anybody in my sort of circle of people. That's
And
Jewish.
that's a topic that we won't bring up unless we're talking about the Khazarian mafia or the political structure of Israel. Okay.
Well, if we're talking about Ukraine, we can definitely go into the Khazarian mafia.
There you go. Well,
but it's the head of the Anglican Church, which is England. Yeah, they are not Jewish.
Yeah. That went overboard last week, and I don't think we're going to have Wobbly back because of that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And he's not even a Jew.
What happened? I saw all the messages, but what happened?
It was interesting. That's about the best way to explain it.
Okay.
You were here last week?
Plus, you need to know that that most media outlets are owned by certain folks.
Okay.
As well as advertisers that pay them.
John Bon Jovi.
Wait. On this show?
No, John Bon Jovi.
When we're on radio. Yeah.
No. Was Wobbly upset about this show?
No, it was the after show.
Some folks on the after show.
Okay.
Not during the show.
I was gonna say because I pretty sure we don't go into that.
It was after show. Sorry, 30 seconds, but I wanted to bring that up now.
There was quite
that
the
will come up later.
wasn't there?
You guys like my cool pictures?
I can't see.
I did say 30 seconds, right?
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at. You see that? You see that?
All right, look out, cats, dogs, and kids. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you are alive and back on the radio side right now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Vixen's Vault. Again, today's date is August the 20th, 2025, Wednesday evening. It's a balmy Wednesday evening in Florida, although I doubt highly it's ever not a balmy evening in Florida. But, before we get back into the subject we were on, I wanted to say I drove Raphael absolutely nuts this morning. Well, I do that kind of every morning. But as y'all probably know, I don't sleep really well because of my injuries. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of EMF that's driving me nuts. But 4:30 this morning, I woke up and I was ice cold because Rafi keeps it like an igloo in my house. And so I got out of bed because I was so cold. Okay. I was so cold that my fingers were blue. So I got out of the bed and I came out. I let the dogs out. My youngest dog, she's always hyper no matter what time it is. So I thought, okay, I'm going to let her out back. So I come out back, and as I'm looking up, I see the moon and the planetary alignment. And I got to tell you, it was so bright. I was like, holy smokes. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got my Android on me, and I'm like taking pictures, and I'm looking at crappy pictures. I'm going to go in the house and get the Apple. So I go in the house to get my iPhone, come back out, taking more pictures. But in the interim, it woke Raphael up. I think the smallest dog, Nala, if she wakes up, she'll yip, and she's a Chihuahua. So that's like a seriously annoying yip. And she'll get right up in your face. I mean, right next to you. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this dog. So he gets up and he comes out. He can't figure out where I am. He comes outside, and here I am taking pictures of the planets and the moon. And he's like, it is 4:30 in the morning. What the hell are you doing? And I was like, yeah, well, pretty cool alignment, really visible. But like I said, then he couldn't get back to sleep. So I annoyed the snot out of him this morning. But I thought it was cool. And I thought I should mention those of you who are early birds on the eastern coast of the United States, or actually pretty much anywhere in the United States, because even in California, it would have been 3:30, 2:30, like 1:30 in the morning. Get outside and look at it in the morning, because it is phenomenal. It's especially if it's a clear night, it's just absolutely beautiful. But that being said, back into the subject at hand. Where do you stand on Ukraine? Because I think, since the beginning of this, when everybody was rah, 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 bomb Russia, because we had a lot of friends. Actually, it was very annoying. A lot of friends who were totally like changing their avatars to Ukrainian flags. I'm like, where do you live? What is wrong with you?
Really?
That's like, the immigration crisis, where they're, making it illegal pretty much to wave any kind of flag that shows patriotism to the United States. But hey, you can have your Mexican flag anywhere you want. No, enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen a huge swing in the United States, because as time went on, people started saying, well, wait a minute. We have sent literally hundreds of billions of dollars in money and equipment and everything else over there. That's not even including the Black Ops budget, which I'm sure is way up there, because we had spec op boots on ground before the war even started. So, and this is, by the way, this is not me whistling Dixie. This is actually documented. You can verify it. Our special operations were in Ukraine before anything started, which should have made you question everything to begin with.
And allegedly, so was the SAS as well.
Correct. Allegedly, right? And actually, I feel bad for Poland, because I'm like, man, those poor Poles. They're like, oh, please, please. But I mean, here's the thing. People here began to question. Why? Because COVID caused a lot of financial interesting issues, and the Biden administration didn't make it better. They made it a lot worse. They allowed Wall Street to jigger numbers, where they kept saying, oh, the economy's strong, when, anybody who went to the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere that costs money, even places that didn't cost money started costing money, knew that our economy was in trouble. I mean, they knew it because it was reflecting in their pocketbook. So people started figuring out something's not quite right here. The only ones that don't figure out are the ones that are on welfare, or the ones who have so much money it doesn't matter anyway.
Or if they really buy what the MSM is telling them, and actually maybe I know of in 2 states where the older people, they take it as gospel, which is appalling. I mean, if MSM says that, oh, the bad Russians are hurting the Ukrainians,
but again, because here's the reason why, and we know this because I hate to say it, but we're becoming the older generation. But the Cold War, I don't know about you guys, but I still remember duck and cover drills, because where do I live? I live, I don't know, in the state that's 90 miles from Cuba. So, yeah, Russia was something to be feared until actually you started seeing a little bit of a difference right as Ronald Reagan was coming out. You started seeing a little bit more of I guess you could say, a negotiation point. Gorbachev, we actually had a pretty decent relationship with him. I mean,
it's worth remembering that both Reagan and Thatcher had real sort of communications with Moscow because of Gorbachev, because of perestroika. Gorbachev's moves into more of a capitalistic system. Yeah.
Yep.
Reagan spent them out of existence. Spend.
So did Thatcher, but yeah.
what opportunity did our deep state see in that? I mean, think about it. Here's Gorbachev that's moving more into the capitalistic system. Whoa, we could put banks over there. Oh, we're going to get our contractors over there. And that's what put a stop to hard and fast. But you know what a lot of people don't realize, because everybody always calls the collapse of Russia when the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics actually did collapse. And Russia had a very dark decade, but not as dark as we think. Because by the end of the 1990s, Russia had more millionaires in Moscow than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah,
and that's
Russian mafia.
fact.
Russian
I have
mafia.
a look at what happened in the neighboring states, the ex-Warsaw Pact countries, Georgia, Kosovo, what is now Czech Republic.
Yep.
Look what happened in those countries.
Yep. I mean, it's like I said, it was a give and a take. But when Putin came into power, I think he knew where mistakes had been made. He knew that it was a glorified crap show with a lot of really bad players in Russia that were taking advantage. And in other words, he took control, where if we'd had that here, we wouldn't have the problems that we've got. Difference between us and Russia's bad players were really, really obvious about the fact that they were bad players. Here, we just call them politicians. So that's the difference.
Arpad was there in 1999. He was on a business trip, and he was held up almost by the Russian mafia. So where we were in the 1930s, the bootlegging and all of that going on, that's where they were, because they hadn't progressed that far. So they're up against mafia. I mean, the Russian mafia was pretty tough.
What I find funny is that we don't do a compare and contrast as to how close, like, the United States has come to actually being the Soviet Union, because a lot of the younger generations have no clue what I'm saying when I say something like that. I'm like, okay, so what propaganda did they feed us when we were in school to scare the crap out of us when it came to Russia? Food lines, the fact that there were multiple families to one apartment. I mean, that everything was controlled by the government, your job, everything. All these choices were made for you. What do we have here and now in the States? A very similar situation. We have food banks everywhere. We've got, we've got SNAP benefits, we've got EBT, we've got welfare, we've got all these things that you're basically lining up like an idiot and getting what you need to survive.
In fact, the UK has got worse because now because of the tax reforms that our government's been doing, we've seen companies leaving the country. Rich people leaving the countries, companies leaving the country, and the civil service has grown extremely large in the last 2 years.
Yep. That's what happened here too. We became a Leviathan. I mean, and I've said that the Constitution was not set up for what we have. Okay, this government it's overreached so far. It's not funny. I mean, it's a Leviathan. It was never meant to be a Leviathan. The government was supposed to be pretty small. And yes, a republic. I mean, but what we've done is we've got, like I said, I say it over and over again, the DOD is the largest employer in the world. Yeah. So literally millions of people are dependent on DOD paychecks. They're dependent to feed their families.
If I'm not mistaken, the NHS is actually the third or fourth biggest employer in the world. Yeah.
And here we went and followed in your damn footsteps with the ACA. Oh, that was freaking brilliant. And anybody who read it was literally, if you are articulate and you can read and you have good comprehension and you read that bill, you wanted to wash your eyeballs out till they bled, because it was that bad. It was that bad. And
it's so graphic.
Oh my gosh. Well, it just, every time I think about it, I think about Nancy Pelosi. You have to pass it before you can read it. Excuse me, we're paying for it.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe she said it. I was like, that woman has balls bigger than big balls that got beat up in D.C. So, and they're using it as an excuse to bring all the National Guard in and deputize everybody. I think that's funny as heck. I'm like, y'all still think this is about crime? Boy, are you going to have a surprise when you wake up one day. Because, yeah, that kind of presence that is not about crime, that is 100% about going after politically influential figures and arresting them and making sure that you can keep the riots that are going to be paid for under control when you do that. That is exactly why that presence is there. So, again, people can try to lull themselves into some kind of a weird dreamscape and actually believe what they're being told because, again, hello, propaganda.
Propaganda. Yeah.
Or you can actually see it for what it is and go, well, wait a minute. Why would they deputize? Why would we have over 10,000 National Guard in a itty-bitty little district that we call Washington, D.C.? Again, think about it, folks. Think about it. And no, that's not conspiracy. That's just logic. Just put the situation together, look at it, and take a step back and say, well, what if it's not about crime? What else could it be about? Let me think. What would happen?
About something to come, something that didn't happen yet? I don't know.
Well, I really think because, again, they revoked the national security clearances of 16 people involved in Russiagate. They've got Obama dead to rights. They've got Clinton dead. Clinton actually nominated
37 people. Wasn't it 37?
It was 16 when I looked earlier today. It might be larger because I know she was still releasing names. But here's the fun part. Clinton actually nominated Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. I was like, oh, come on. Little too late with the brown nosing there, sister. Because you're toast, man. And you made yourself a big old target. There's no, feel bad for me. I lost an election. No, sorry. You are done. And like I said, I think that's going to be, and I think it's going to be more than just Russiagate. There's a reason Trump is doing what he's doing with the Epstein files. And there's all sorts of interesting things going on right now that, again, not widely reported on. Like there was a Israeli intelligence agent, cyber intelligence agent out in Las Vegas who got arrested for child pornography and multiple other things, child trafficking, also amongst those charges. And his Israeli lawyer stepped in and for $1,000 got him sent back to Israel.
Oh, out of harm's way.
Yeah, out of harm's way. So again, very interesting things going on here. And they're not widely reported on. And like I said, I think it's going to be one fatal blow. And that would be how I'd do it. I would get everything I needed, all my ducks in the row, release the information in trickles here and there, JFK files, everything that's going to build a story to show people a background. And then you swing the hammer.
Well, and so they can't get away.
And you're noticing all sorts of issues now with air traffic. You had another explosion at Francis Scott Key Bridge. That was yesterday. Was that yesterday? No, I think Monday maybe. But another tanker blew right almost exactly the same place where that other tanker hit the bridge. So it's like, again, guys, way too much going on here. And it's showing me that they're trying to stop exits. They're trying to block exits. Air traffic, you've got air traffic hackings happening pretty much every other day at this point where airlines are shutting down their complete systems, coming to complete ground halt because they've been hacked. Again, I'm telling you, it's all leading up to a system shutdown. And they're trying to keep the mice from fleeing at this point because they've got everything. Even back before the 2020 election, I had been sent a very large file, we'll just put it that way, that had over 250,000 names of sealed indictees. Indictees.
Yep.
So, yeah. And it's interesting because some of those names you had never heard of before in your life. And yet now I see some of those names in the news. And I'm like, oh, well, isn't that interesting? So it proves things accurate. It's like I said, there's a validation that's occurring right now that's telling me, yeah, this is coming to an epic, like, grand finale as they shove all the lemmings off the cliff. Because
Correct.
that's where this is going. And
don't they have an NG National Guard in front of Union Station too? Ain't nobody
Yeah.
going anywhere.
yeah, they got them there. They're looking at deploying to LA. They're looking at deploying to Chicago and now New York City also. So, I mean, they're saying, well, he can't do that. He can't do that. Posse comitatus. I'm like, well, you retards. Y'all elected one Senor Barack Obama, who made sure that he implemented into the NDAA 2012 the absolute reneging of posse comitatus under a state of emergency.
It's funny that comes up. Did you know they were actually in court 3 different times last week? Friday was the last day that I know of. Deciding whether Trump is going against posse comitatus or not. So I don't know what that means for Obama having 100% ixnayed posse comitatus, but yeah. Well, I'm just saying they've been in court all last week, so that's trying to decide about that. Well, then this judge very well could un-ixnay it.
No, it's not going to be. Here's the thing, because it's going to out what's actually happening. That because Trump actually has declared an emergency. It gives him the power.
But I mean, they are in court. Friday was the 3rd day that they were in court doing this. So it's not, it's just something they're doing right now.
But they're in a liberal court. Because
I'm just saying it is humanly possible in the realm of things for the decision to go that way. Right?
Yep. And it'll get what? It'll get appealed,
overturned,
and it'll get overturned.
I'm just saying. So posse comitatus, I guess. Yeah, it was real weird. I don't know. Well, that's just weird. If it was ixnayed, it shouldn't be something that should go into court, you would think. But I guess they take everything into court.
Again, because here's the thing. This is what Democrats do. Look at all the things Trump has been brought to court for that everybody else in the world has gotten away with that were perfectly legal. Okay, let's just look at this. And then they try to twist words.
Reasonable.
But again, posse comitatus, that's exact. I'm telling you, it's in the NDAA. You can go look at it. It's revoked in times of emergency.
In court last Friday.
Oh, no.
Over it.
But what I'm saying is whether or not he has the right to do it, in the liberals' minds, in their mindset, in the deep state's mindset, Trump
I don't know enough about the law to know all that, but I know that they're in court figuring that out about the posse comitatus. And if the judge goes against that, then that either means that there was some misunderstanding in that, or that he has the power to turn it around.
Well, and that's where I find it interesting. No, they really don't, as these federal judges are finding out very quickly right now, because they're all trying, they've tried to block him. I can't tell you how many times. That one in DC who keeps throwing down, what is it? Not a restraining, but it's basically an order stopping him from being able to deport. They can't stop him from deporting, but yet this judge is ruling they can, but constitutionally they cannot. No. So they've overstepped. The judicial system has overstepped.
Let me ask you something. The posse comitatus, I was under the impression that was to prevent the U.S. Army and Air Force from enforcing like domestic laws and stuff.
Within our borders.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. So, I mean, how's that like applying to this right here? Is what I'm saying. Like, I don't get the connection.
Because they federalize, again, under the NDAA, they kind of federalized the National Guard. And it was a big mistake.
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
Yep, they kind of federalized it. And that's why I said, because in normal circumstances, the way it was before, the governors had control of the National Guard, not the federal government. So, in fact, Rafi can back me up on that if he's still here and listening.
Yeah, I'm here. I was going to say, it's funny, if nothing else, this federalization of the troops and the and the whole militarization of DC. I mean, that should be the wake-up call, because that's almost what we had when the lockdown started. I don't know if you...
Hang on. I just looked at the time. Got to take us out to a break, but you're going to continue on that because you're correct. Hang in there, folks. We shall return. This is our long break of the evening, so it's going to be a good 5 to 10 minutes, but we shall return with the Vixen's Vault.
Okay, we're on radio break.
Bring it, Rafi.
Yeah, baby.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, Rafi, because DC is not a state, they don't have a standing guard unit. They have the Capitol Police and they have the DC Police, which are completely corrupt.
And they have a constitution.
It sort of reminds me of what the Square Mile in London is like, and also in some sense what the Vatican City is like. It's a sort of
well, there's only 3 cities that are independent like that:
autonomous
DC,
zones,
London, and the Vatican.
Yep.
And one more jurisdiction, the Bank of International Settlements is also.
Should be getting that way.
Oh yeah, there's some place over in Switzerland too.
Bank of International Settlements is also.
Where is it?
Yep. Switzerland.
Basel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Basel.
So I
mean,
it's
the Basel numbers, Basel 3 and Basel 4.
Okay. Yeah. I love basil. I put it in all my food.
Good for you. Basil. Good for you.
There are little shoes in there.
And it's pronounced basil. Not basil.
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 Wait, that's a name too, isn't it? Basil.
Yeah. As in, what's the
mixed up file with Mrs. Basil E. Franklin?
Yeah, but I mean, I see. Like I said, I see what Trump's doing, and I'm kind of laughing because he's.
Well, when we get ready, when this room closes up, I'm going to take us over. In fact. Yeah, I'm about ready to take us over to the next one. So everybody get ready. Jason, do you have your the link already for that one? Should be able to just answer when I call.
Do. Yeah, indeed.
Okay. I'm going to close this one up and we're going to start the next one. All right? All right.
Okay, let me make sure I got all this. And no, I do not.
I don't see Jason. Oh, there he is.
Sorry if I put my 2 cents in there, Nancy.
2 cents?
What are you talking about?
Well, inserting information like.
Okay, Vicky, I'm going to throttle it into you. You are allowed to have a voice and an opinion. We like your voice and opinion.
I love it. I love it when chicks say insert and throttle. It's so cool, dude. Like,
of course you do.
It's kinetic, isn't it?
Force it in there. It was like when I went on Censorship Sucks. I think the second to last time. What's her face? Yodavation said something that I didn't know for sure if I should be like upset or if I should be like
there you go
excited. You know what I mean? Because like she said, I was like, wow, dude, I felt dominated, used.
That's all it takes with you guys is words. That's it.
It felt good, dude.
He liked esophageal varices. Don't you remember that?
Yeah, say that slow.
Oh my God.
Say that slow.
She does say it slow.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Is like freaking that is so cool. Like that's a hot chick word right there.
Oh yeah.
Esophageal varices.
Varices.
All right, so Mark,
do
you see Ralphie in the waiting room? Because
no. I'm trying to get him to connect in, but it keeps dropping off for some reason.
Hang on.
There he is.
Yeah, because he's got to tell us.
He's coming in now. He's coming in.
There he is.
Got him. What happened to Dave?
Okay. Dave has surgery again tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was thinking about him just today.
Oh, that's so fun.
Okay, well, I guess Onion is not going to come in.
Sonia. Oh, Sonia.
Yeah.
You like that name too, Sonia.
Well, no,
It
it's
sounds
last time I had to talk to Sonia, she kept me up until like 4:30 in the morning.
That's what she said.
She got all drunk and said she was gonna punch me in the face.
Oh.
Yeah, sexy.
What she'll do.
Yeah, she just. I told her, I was like, that's not really attractive, but she didn't want to hear that.
No. BS. What you said was whip me, beat me, hurt me. Ooh, I'll be yours. That's what you said, Roger. I know.
You just don't.
Throttle.
Dude, you leave the
Insert.
freaking moneymaker alone, though. That's like the #1 rule.
Moneymaker.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my God.
it's just.
Oh God.
Wow.
You know. You can.
We can't go there. It's not nice.
You can.
It's not nice. Vicky's gonna go rebaptize herself like 20 times after this show.
She's always
Okay, Roger, you sure it's an asset or a liability?
both.
Anyways,
Long term,
got
short
about 30
term.
seconds.
Copy that.
Did you hear me? I said long term,
No.
short term.
No. What am I thinking?
God.
We got plenty of time. Hold on here.
I was gonna say, are you doing a 5-minute break on us?
Yeah,
Roger's
I'm
fantasizing.
not
We don't like
having
to listen. Mark.
He's trying to
I'm not
avoid.
having a good night because when I first started out tonight, I kept getting interrupted by everybody here at the house coming in and out of the room when I'm trying to get everything on, and then it's throwing my whole damn night off. And now I'm still having problems making sure that the damn countdowns are taking place when they need to, regardless of the damn files playing and crap like that. If they want to, end early or or just drag out to the regular time.
Ooh,
Okay.
Mark is frustrated.
Yeah, I'm, and not to mention, I had a fire at my house.
I saw
this
that. I
weekend.
saw the pictures. What? How the hell did that happen?
His maid.
Fire department said it was probably brush fire because the hedges were too close to the damn AC unit. We've been under a heat advisory here for the last few days. Well, over the weekend, and that day it was 104. Not to mention how hot, on top of what the AC unit was blowing onto the brush there, and the wind at the time. So it just went up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, before it even happened, went to take Catherine, not even a block away, and I had it went up, and I had it up before he even came back, and he was like, "What are you doing outside?" And I said, "Don't you see? Damn house is smoldering."
Wow.
Wow.
You were lucky. You were actually really lucky.
But anyways, yeah.
Today was so bad, his dog was even bitching at him when he started the freaking stream, dude. He was like barking.
Oh yeah, well, Zeus was giving me hell because he probably knew that Blue, Censorship's dog, was nearby him,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, they wanted to talk, but he was being very vocal. He was being the manly man. Now it's 30 seconds.
There we go.
All right.
Glad you were able
He's
to
here, so
man.
he's ready to talk.
I wanted to hear more about Roger's fantasies, but hey, that's
And, I'm
done.
not sure if I want to do an after show tonight or not. I'll let you know in the next break.
Okay.
I got a little, after last week, I've been a little frustrated with the after show, so I don't know. Here's your countdown.
I have no idea what even happened.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and on the radio side right now.
Top of the hour, coming back at you with the Vixen's Vault. I'm your hostess, the Wiccan Vixen, and with me tonight, which is, by the way, Wednesday, August the 20th, 2025. I got to shoot that one out in there. With me tonight, I have my esteemed panel who are with me every week. I've got Vicky. Say hello, Vicky.
Hello.
Roger, who's been very entertaining during the break. I'm just going to say that. And Roger's still on mute. So, okay, Roger, if you're talking into the mic or if you, there he is.
Hello.
Say hello, Roger.
Hello.
There we go. I've got Jason, the new addition to the round table that I am absolutely thoroughly enjoying. So I love having you here, Jason. It's actually really awesome. Mark Edworthy, who was not with us last week, and I missed you. I missed the Fabio clip. And you know, you can tell he's had a rough week because he looks tired. A little bit better now, but tired. And of course, Raphael, my significant other, who I see every day and night. So there we go.
And she loves.
When we went off air, we were talking about what is happening in DC with the National Guard presence. And Raphael was about to make a point about pre-COVID. So I'm going to let you continue with that train of thought.
So going back to when I was an air marshal, I remember when they said that they could only guarantee us 10 years of employment. They didn't know how long the program was going to last, but later on down the line, you know, everything's 2020 hindsight. They launched what they call the vehicle intermodal. I don't know, it's a VIPR, the Viper program. And I just went to the Air Marshal website just the other day, and sure enough, they have now merged the Air Marshal job with the Viper program. And for people that don't know what the Viper program is, you got TSA guys that are, you know, sitting in the airports and, you know, in a secure location, screening passengers, whatever else. Viper was going to be the armed version of that, out doing bus stops, train stations, you know, seaports, basically any public transportation. And then as the lockdowns came down, we were lucky that they did not use them as the response to you know, remember during the lockdowns when they first started, they didn't want any interstate travel. Well, that would have been a federal enforcement of that ruling, of that declaration, and the Viper teams would have been right at the center of that. So, if you want to get an idea, you know, we've talked about how a militarized tyranny it basically shocks people awake out of their slumber. We almost had that during the COVID crisis, but they doubled down with the medical tyranny so that then they can basically say, oh, we're taking him away because he has COVID. That kind of thing. It's easier to target people when you have the medical tyranny, but the military tyranny is a lot more in your face. It is a lot more alarming. And this is a great insight. If you want to look at what a militarized United States looks like, you're going to look at DC in the next 6 months.
You know, I've got to say, I've got to make a comment here because again, it's kind of like the NDAA, the way they did it, it's like they set Trump up because they didn't expect it to be Trump. They thought it was going to be Hillary. They gave him like the ultimate powers through the NDAA. And now they're, like I said, with the court things, they're trying to undo it, but they can't undo it because they did it. And not only that, they did it with 100% of the vote. Like the NDAA passes every year. Every year in December, they re-up the NDAA. And every year it is unilaterally passed. That right there should tell you we have a very large problem. But on top of that, I'm going to go back to Sandy Hook. What was the actual intent behind Sandy Hook? And this shows you what their intentions were for us. Sandy Hook was not so much about the school shooting. It was about a gun grab, but it was also, there was something else. There was another piece of that a lot of people were not putting together. It was about federalizing law enforcement because there was a push made after Sandy Hook to get rid of the sheriffs and go federal. Correct. They were dismantling the sheriffs. Why? Because the sheriffs are the one institution within the law that can actually refuse an order from a president or a leader if they consider it to be unconstitutional. They are the only ones. Yep, they're the only ones with that power.
Can I add something in on that?
Go ahead.
Everybody always forgets to talk about this, but let's look at tracer guns as well. That was a big thing after Sandy Hook. They started introducing illegal weapons back into the hands of criminals so that they could trace those weapons and find out where they were going.
Yep.
So
well, and on top of that, there's another facet to this. So that should, again, if you put the pieces together, you can see where they were trying to gather into a federalized force. What did we have? What were the exercises that drove Anons absolutely crazy? People were melting down. Jade Helm.
Yeah.
And again, it was a preparation exercise, and people kept saying, "Oh my God, they're literally, this whole exercise is about doing what? Containing U.S. citizens. Why? Why would they even urban warfare? What are they doing? Why would
even
they need
more
to do
than
this?
that for Jade Helm was the Boston bombing, in particular when they shut the entire city down to hunt down what was supposed to be the two terrorists that supposedly planted those bombs, as if it wasn't Kraft International, but that's for a whole different thing. I have video footage of, and
I love this guy.
I have video footage of folks coming up a woman's street, 2 MRAPs, all kinds of soldiers marching behind them, and she says, what's going on? He says, get back in your house. And she says again, I don't know why, but she says, what's going on? And they had like beanbag guns or whatever, and I mean, this guy shot her dead in the crotch with the beanbag. And you could tell because they were coated in some kind of chalk stuff. So you could, maybe because they know they're going to get sued, so that they can actually tell where they got hit. So you can't say, oh, you hit me in the liver, or I don't know, whatever. That's the best thing I could ever come up with. But anyway, because he shot her, and she went back inside. She went in and shut her door after that. But so they were marching around shooting women in the crotch that are technically in their house, just with the front door open, asking what's going on. Yeah, that was their intent, for that to be legal after.
A lot of that was it was a temperature test to see how far people were willing to forego their civil rights in order for the law enforcement or the government to enforce or keep them safe. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, more than that, I mean, it was also a stupidity test, because you forget the film that was coming out of the Boston bombing, where you could literally see the same crisis actors making mistakes in their crisis acting and then resetting it on live TV on national news, where you're like, wait, wasn't that guy just
found that before?
Yep.
Whenever they do events like this, there's a number of reasons. They don't kill 1, 2, or 3 birds with one stone. They kill like a dozen birds with one stone.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like they set the way I look at it is they were definitely, like, they had full intention. If Trump had not been in office and had not made, things, certain things made things obvious to people. If he had not been in office, we would have had a Jade Helm with COVID. As it was, they tried really hard to do that. They tried very hard. I mean, they were literally removing our freedoms left and right for literally no reason, and completely unconstitutional. Little local governments where they had put their own people into power, like the Department of Health. And I've said that before. The Department of Health has way too much power. And and it's a bunch of pencil pushers who have that power. No,
I don't know. I call that
where
we got to take some of your freedoms. That way we don't got to take all of them.
All freedoms.
There you go.
Yep. And like I said,
I just don't buy it.
When the 2-week lockdown expired, I mean, again, because we didn't know as a country, and there was a lot of panic. So yeah, a 2-week lockdown, I will never say that was a bad idea because nobody really knew. And I got to tell you, Ralphie was seriously not in a good place because that man has no fear of anything. But if there's one thing that gets him, it's something invisible that he cannot fight. And so a virus like that, oh yeah, no, he was freaking out. And especially after we talked to Chi, and she was telling us how viruses actually do get transmitted. Oh yeah, that was that was a bad day. But again, you can see where they were setting it all up for COVID, and now they're trying to do it again. You're seeing them trying to, put the fear in everybody. In fact, I made a point the other day, and I did show it to Raphael. Because Bill Gates is somebody who just irks the absolute snot out of me. And because he's a little shit, he's like that little man that got bullied, and he's got all this money. He's just going to take it out on everybody. A little Dr. Evil. That's what he reminds me of.
Because somebody hit him in the face with a cream pie.
Oh my God! No, it's long before. But like I said, here he is, and there was two different things that came up.
The one final cream pie. Like the guy that was like in the way back or whatever. He had to catch up.
Well, there were two different things that popped up with Bill Gates over the weekend. That one was a direct article about him, which was about that he's now pushing for Africa. He's pushing this huge contraceptive program, and that he's going to go save the Africans and this and that. I'm like, wait a minute. And this is how I post things on my Facebook. Hold on a second here. Isn't he the same Bill Gates that did all these wonderful experimental vaccines in Africa that actually killed the reproductive systems of tons of them, created a lot of diseases that they can't seem to kill, and on top of that, what son of a bitch? Are you playing video games? You're video gaming, Raphael. Put the remote down or hit mute.
I got it.
So, again, I was kind of making the point, and then I kind of said, here's the thing. If DEI had gotten behind a platform going after something like that, it would have been the one platform that was actually kind of legitimate. Yep, it's kind of racist to go experiment on African and Indian people just simply because there's a lot of them and they're really poor, and yep, you don't really have to count the deaths. That's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Then the next article, literally within 10 minutes, the next article that pops up on my feed is about, this mosquito-borne virus that's now rampaging through China. But on top of that, here in Tampa, in my area, Central Florida, they've got dengue fever. So great. I'm like, hold the door a moment here, folks. Wait a minute. Once again, I'm going to point out that didn't we just pay Bill Gates a shit ton of money to have Oxitec, the company that he owns, release a bunch of genetically modified mosquitoes in our freaking keys to basically stave off dengue fever, which, by the way, we haven't seen here in decades. Stave that off, West Nile virus, the real nasty ones that these mosquitoes, quote unquote, carry. And now all of a sudden we have an outburst of dengue fever. I'm just going to take a hazard and say that maybe the lemon law should apply here, because I'm pretty sure his genetically modified mosquitoes really didn't do anything but genetically modify another virus and make us more susceptible to it.
Yep.
So
that's like that, right?
Two different situations where I'm like, again, guys, let's look at the person who is in charge of the money that went into all this, because this was not supposed to be a problem. And yep, now we've got, even with Zika, I always laugh with Zika virus. I don't laugh because it's a very serious virus and it does cause really horrible things. But what people don't look at is the timing of that Zika virus outbreak. And the fact that they had done a release of genetically modified mosquitoes in that area about 6 months before that Zika virus outbreak.
And who owns the patent on the Zika virus?
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember what it was because we talked about this. It was it connects back to Bill Gates again.
Yeah.
Again,
I thought Pfizer had that.
Again, no,
It's
Pfizer.
the U.S.
Mhm. So, I mean, again, you've got all these things going on, and even now with like, global warming, global cooling, global warming. I saw the other day that there was an article about, oh, look at this. The Antarctic has somehow managed to like triple its mass, even though we're globally warming. Oh, it's just a side effect. I'm like,
yeah.
A side effect of what? The fact that, again, good old Bill Gates, that dude, that he was spraying our skies with freaking aluminum to supposedly counteract the global warming, which, again, when that was happening, I said, that makes zero sense because, what you're going to do is cause a massive, massive cool down if you spray the skies with aluminum. And not to mention the fact also we've had multiple, like, ridiculous amounts of volcanic eruptions, especially in the last 6 months. What does that do, guys? That puts all these particulates up into the atmosphere.
It blocks the sun.
Out there. And does what? It blocks the sun. And we're still not explaining. I haven't seen one person from any scientific agency come out and explain to me why the sun is rising and setting in the wrong place. Nor I mean, none of this is getting explained. They're just, oh, well, you're just seeing things. No, I'm pretty sure that sun is setting in the northwest. It shouldn't be there. It should be in the west. So it's, Oh, you just didn't notice it. No, I'm pretty sure I've been looking at the sun my whole flipping life and noting, because I live on water, noting where it rises and where it sets, even during different times of the year, because it does adjust for winter, spring, summer, fall. It does move a little bit, but not a complete like chunk of space. And, again, to the point where, like you said, I've never seen an actual answer to the Inuit tribal elders who wrote a letter to NASA back in 2012 asking them what was going on, because apparently they've had to change all their hunting patterns because the sun is rising and setting in a different position. So I'm pretty sure they know where the sun's supposed to be above anybody because their entire livelihood depends on it.
It's funny that they should write a letter asking, and you guys must be
excuse
responsible.
us, would you like to tell us what's going on here? Because the sun is in the wrong place. It's okay. But I mean, we laugh at it, but it's really not funny. Yeah. Because, again, it tells us that there are things happening, even the hurricane down in the Gulf. Hurricane Aaron. If you think this storm is, again, normal, I want to take your head and smash it into a wall. It is not normal. It is nowhere close to normal. And the repeater signals, in fact, you're getting a lot of meteorologists who are actually posting it, that these radars are picking up these really weird signals all over.
Can I say one thing real quick about Hurricane Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
During 9/11, that was Hurricane Aaron right off the coast there. Some people have the idea, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, that storm was created to have a real a very low pressure system off the coast of New York. That way New York would have a very high pressure system. If you remember, it was a beautiful day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky on 9/11. And that storm's name was Aaron. And if you remember, it poured the day after 9/11. That storm was gone, and then the high pressure system was gone. The low pressure came in, and it just poured rain, which would have been perfect to get rid of any nuclear type of, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, any evidence.
Yes.
Anything,
Yep. You think like I do. And sometimes I love thinking that way, and sometimes I really hate it because I'm like, God, I'm such a negative Nancy. But
well, have you seen any of the ones that show that it's following, or they predict it will follow the same path as Katrina? Have you seen any of those posts?
Yes, but no. See, here's the thing with Aaron. I keep laughing because it's like, when Noah didn't get its funding, it's like they decided they were all going to just be a bunch of asshats. Because it's wrong. Everything they keep saying, it's not going to come anywhere near the eastern coastline. Wrong. And if you're watching the storm and looking at the upper level winds, you're like, oh no, that's going to keep pushing west for a little bit. I don't know what they're talking about, but yeah, pretty sure that's going to push a little further west. And it did. And now it's turning north. And now the problem is that it's created so much, I guess you could say, kinetic dysfunction behind it, that we've got this huge storm that's now brewing right in its path, and that's going to hit Florida. But with that, I've got to take us out for a break. Guys, when we return, we will continue with more of the Vixen's Vault. Hang in there. We shall return.
Okay, we're on radio break.
I did see where they were trying to draw comparisons. I thought that was weird.
Well, because Katrina was tragic.
What's crazy is it's got the same exact path too that Aaron had. I mean, not exact path, but if you look at the, they show you about 40, 30 maybe different paths it might take. Yeah, it's going, about the same exact thing that Aaron did. It's a trip. It's a trip.
Yeah. Well, again, it's weather modification's been going on for a very long time. And they've never, they always denied it. They denied the chemtrails. They've denied all of it. And yet we all knew it was happening. And, like somebody said, well, it could be because, there is a lot of air traffic. I'm like, well, that doesn't explain how that was happening, when COVID was going on and the air traffic was pretty much nothing. And yet we still had these quote unquote contrails up in the sky. Not only that, but contrails, they leave a line and they disappear or dissipate pretty much immediately. Whereas a chemtrail, because it's a different form of liquid, it's literally heavier. It expands out. So that's how I say that's how you always know.
Nancy, are you going to stick around for an after show?
I do not know, my brother. It's going to depend. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm pretty beat. So I don't think we're going to do an after show unless you come in.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I'm exhausted. So I obviously I was up at 4:30 this morning. So I said, and been going and going and going and going and going and going and going today. So I'm like, yeah, my body's feeling it.
I mean, I've had a lot of stuff here lately, with house and family, and it's just been really busy. So, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely could do with some sleep, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we missed. I missed Thursdays and
all right.
we missed Fridays.
So when we end show, I'll look to host out right away. Then at the top, near or top probably the top of the hour. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Is everybody okay with that? Because like I said, I'm beat. I don't normally stay for the after show anymore because I'm so tired. But
it's
and by the way, that's something I'm
normally I don't mind, but tonight I'm just I don't know. I'm beat, and on top of that, I probably got about 3 or 4 hours of editing to do on top of that with the archiving, and that's going to be a lot.
Apologies for a D-Live. I was trying to mirror the show, and my computer gave out about a half an hour or longer ago. So I don't know. Maybe that'll work out better next time.
That's all right. 2 platforms on me died on me. One was Nemo TV, and the other one was YouTube. So, but that's no big deal. And then I didn't have anybody over on Telegram, so I cut it off. But
I heard YouTube's been acting funky lately.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of sites are getting a little wonky here for connecting. Over the last week and a half, I've had some issues with that. It'll take more than just maybe the 3 or 4 seconds to just bump in there. But you got less than 30 seconds, and I'll do a countdown. You can kind of hear it in my voice tonight already too. You know, I'm pretty beat.
Roger, are we still on for tomorrow?
Roger, if you guys want to do something on the side on your own, that's fine. I don't mind that. But here's your countdown, guys.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and on the radio side right now, Nance.
And we are back, and I'm not going to give you all the time and the date because y'all know what time it is and you know what date it is because I've said it like a bazillion times. Oh, wait, you know what? I'll give you the time just in case. 10:30 p.m., half past the hour Eastern Standard Time. We're in the last half hour of the show. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a nice break, a little bit refreshing. And I got to tell you tonight, those of you who stay on to listen for the after show, we are not going to do the after show tonight only because everybody's kind of beat. I know producer Mark is exhausted. I am exhausted. Mark Edworthy, man, I don't even know how he's doing it right now because he's 5 hours ahead of us. So, I mean, he's got to be dragging in the mud. And I'm sure Roger will figure something out. That's just Roger.
I've got cool stuff that I can do by myself.
Oh, I don't even want to go there. But okay.
No one wants to know that, Roger. You keep that to yourself.
That's what you think.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so again, you know, when we came off, we were talking about weather and weather modification and Aaron and all the very interesting little things about Aaron that link to 9/11. And I think, it's very interesting because I do know that one of the things that Trump had promised to release, and the man is good to his word, even though if you listen to him on the news, you're thinking, oh, he's doing everything he said he wouldn't. But if you watch what's actually happening, what he said was going to get done is getting done. It's just not getting done the way we thought it would. Now, he did promise to release what actually happened on 9/11. And again, I just find all these little correlations and comparisons because there's one thing about Trump that a lot of people don't remember is that he is a 9/11 truther. He 100% was very vocal about the fact that a lot of stuff went down on 9/11 that we were not told about. And a lot of it was not good. So again, I always say, you know, he plays his part as best as he can. And actually, it's kind of genius. You know, he plays into it. You know, let them think I'm their friend. It's not going to be me that releases this information. It's going to be you guys demanding it be released. And he's right. I mean, in fact, there was a federal judge out in California who denied the DOJ for releasing the transcripts on Epstein. Now, I guarantee most people, because that's not being carried by the liberal press. Oh, no. You're only finding that out if you're actually digging in and reading local press releases or an alternative. Why? Because what does that show? That's very problematic. Why would a federal judge squash a release from the DOJ, giving us information about Epstein, which the people are demanding? So what is going on? And it's a liberal federal judge. I'll put that out there too. It's Obama era, Obama assigned judge. So why are these files being withheld? What is so scary that's in these files? And I'm telling you, it's not Donald Trump. It's not. Y'all could think it is, but it's not. And oh yeah, that was the other thing that happened this week. Bill Barr showed up. For his congressional testimony. Somehow he managed to escape his memory unit and was sworn in and gave testimony and actually looked pretty good for a guy with no memory and made it very clear that, you know, that Trump was never on the Lolita Express. Trump was never part of Epstein's little crowd. You know, they knew that. That's why. And he made the point that I've made a million freaking times with this case. When everybody says, oh, he was there. He did it. Trump. He's a billionaire. Bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, you know, guys, I'm just going to make that little finite point. If he was on the Lolita Express and he had anything to do with pedophilia and they had that information because all this stuff would have been in files that they had access to through the FBI, they wouldn't have bothered with this whole oh, he insulted and touched a woman 50 years ago who looks like crotch rot anyway, and we're going to go after him. And I'm sorry, but it's true. I mean, he had all these beautiful, gorgeous women of all races and ages hanging off him, but no, he went after, the spinster and, harassed her, and we're going to give her a tens of millions of dollars in settlement. And it's like, no, they would never have even touched that. That was desperate.
Mm-hmm.
But they would have gone after him for Epstein. And I keep saying that. I'm like, if they had anything, they would have freaking crucified him over the last 4 years. He would have been the only person that went to jail for Epstein. Literally. Right. Because that's how bad they wanted him. And we all know it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this whole thing, I think he's playing their hatred against them when he says, well, no, we can't release it, making it look like he might have some portion in there. Yeah, no. It's going to be like his tax returns. Epic disappointment.
Could that be mutual assured destruction with the Democrats in terms of Epstein?
No, because it was not mutually assured destruction when they went after him for the mortgages. Was it? Because apparently those laws, whatever they did there, only applied to him. Because now what's happening, we're seeing many Democrats actually being charged with the exact thing they charged Trump with, except it's legitimate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were using do as I say, not as I do type of standards in the court systems, and the judges were allowing it. And this is what I'm saying. There's going to be a giant cleansing. And it's going to be the right and the left, because both sides have some serious corruption issues, and they're seriously dirty. And if you think they're separated, if y'all think that this is really a right and left thing, you're an idiot, because you need the right and the left for the Leviathan to function. You cannot. Yeah. It's all one body.
The one thing that catches me is like this takes me back to Hannity on Fox. Okay, he used to annoy me the crap out of me because he always talked about these dossier on Hillary Clinton and she's going to prison, and you know what? Lo and behold, it never happened. So when it comes to a lot of the stuff that's being done right now, I'm seeing a lot of Hannity crap that's being pushed out that's just completely bogus. And you shouldn't listen to people like that because they're just sending you down a path that's a rabbit hole that leads nowhere. And they're doing it on purpose.
Yep. I don't think so. I think they are going to get a lot of these people because, again, it's not just the financial crimes. It's not just that. You have literally crimes against humanity in a huge way, like not avoidable. You had a health crisis where they literally forced populations to take something that is killing them, literally an experimental vaccine, and it's not even a vaccine. That's the thing. By definition, it's not a vaccine.
Therapy. It's gene therapy.
Yeah.
They actually changed the definition, though, so it actually technically is a vaccine, because they had to go into the Merriam-Webster's dictionary in 2022, I believe it was, and actually change the definition of what a vaccine was to include mRNA, DNA changing gene therapy. It's
CRISPR therapy, which I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, wait a minute, this is all CRISPR therapy, wasn't CRISPR that stuff that Chinese scientist who came up with it spent a lot of time in jail for? Yeah. I mean, when did all this stuff become, in fact, even the cloning, I laugh because, you find out that, they've been cloning for a long time, but we've all known they were cloning. And I'm not talking in the sense of all full human body cloning, although I'm sure they are absolutely capable of it. Why? Yeah. Because they were cloning fetal cells back in the freaking late 60s. That's why.
Well,
and they were putting it. Now,
genetically enhanced baby over in China. Don't you remember that?
Yep. Well, China's not under the same rules we are.
No, of course not.
Nancy, do you remember the Dolly the sheep incident in the UK?
Dolly,
Yep, Dolly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
Was back in '89, I think.
But that was old technology even when it happened.
Yeah.
But okay, so this got brought up and I've known this for a long time, but when Anons were starting to really hammer into the pedophilia that is rampant, and it is rampant. That's not a game. That's not a joke. These guys are sick at the top. They do some sick things. But what that brought about was basically cloning, and the fact that, fetuses and aborted fetuses and what they do with them. And I've always said, to me, I don't care where everybody else stands. I have a personal opinion. I don't hold everybody to my opinion. My opinion is that abortion is a blood sacrifice. It's literally, you are sacrificing the blood of the innocent to get what you want. It is a blood sacrifice, whether or not, and I'm a pagan, and I'll full out tell you, that's a blood sacrifice. Sorry, you may not like it, may not be convenient to hear, but it's the
like
truth.
Moloch, sacrificing to Moloch. Yeah.
It's literally the blood of the innocent.
Uh-huh.
So it's one of those things where, when that's discussed, and then you go back and you say, well, wait a minute, in the late 60s, you had PepsiCo, who literally cloned a fetal cells and used it for sweetener in Pepsi.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, because people were like, Cenemix. The whole thing was all about the fact that people were saying, oh, they use aborted fetuses in Pepsi, and oh no, let's correct that. No, they weren't using aborted fetuses per se. They were using cloned aborted fetuses for the sweet. So it's like, but that should tell you that was in the late 60s.
In your Starbucks too.
Yep. It was in the late 60s.
Nothing
so
better
imagine
than cloned fetuses in my cream, dude. Wow.
I'm telling you. Again, but people don't know this. They take the fact that the government said, well, no, it wasn't aborted fetuses, and that's where they put the period on the end of the sentence. They don't explain the fact that it was a cloned aborted fetus.
You know how you guys talk about low birth rates too? There's something I did recently when it comes to genetically modified foods and stuff, and nobody ever takes that into consideration. When you introduce genetically modified elements into the wild, it actually competes with what's natural, and it causes those kind of effects. So if you're sitting and you're eating freaking that nice beautiful white corn, don't you think that's going to lower the birth count in regular human beings, because you're introducing these genetically modified elements into your body,
into your bio? Yep. And that's, people don't, it actually really messes up your digestive system, which is the seat of your immunity system.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't think about that. You're putting things in your body that are really screwing up your digestive system in a huge way. And like even the Monsanto crops that are spliced with, basically, they're spliced with things that kill insects, poisons. And you're putting that into your digestive system and destroying your own immunity system. And then you had COVID, which, what was it? What did it actually attack? It attacked your ability to fight things off, immunity system, which is why we're having these big upswings of diseases we haven't seen in decades. It's not because people aren't getting vaccinated. You idiots. The people that are getting sick are people our age who are fully vaccinated. Oh, and then all of a sudden it's, wait, there's a shelf life. Oh, come the hell on. We've had how many generations go before us where this was not a problem?
Okay, so shingles.
You got one or two things. But shingles exploded after the varicella vaccine came on the market.
They never told
That's something
anybody.
else they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't.
They're actually vaccinating people for whooping cough again.
Yeah. Oh, even, what was the RSV? Oh, RSV, everybody get your RSV. Older people, younger people, everybody get RSV. I'm like, wait a minute. I was a medic. RSV is it's an infant disease. Why are we vaccinating people for RSV? We're immune to it because we usually get it when we're very, very young. And you work through it and you have an immunity to it. Why is this happening? All of a sudden, we're all recatching things that we've had either naturally or we were vaccinated for it. It's never been a problem before COVID.
It's because that the vaccine, the jab. Well, can I say that? Can I say the jab? that has an element in it that for the mRNA sequencing that turns off its HIV, so you can get into the cells.
There's also another factor to think about: immigration. In the UK, I believe no, late last year, there was a report of an outbreak of TB. Yeah, TB.
You get that from being homeless, dude. They used to test me when I was on the streets homeless.
TB is the major killer of the world.
I mean,
really.
homeless shelters search the people coming in for TB and freaking they make them check for freaking mites and shit by lifting their shirts up. So I mean, it's been here. It's been everywhere. If you're homeless,
it's like the plague.
But there's a massive increase in the last
supposedly
years. Well, according to reports I saw at the time.
Yeah.
Again, one of the things that they don't tell you though about the COVID virus itself is that the COVID virus had what we call inslips of HIV.
Yeah.
So in other words, it had markers of HIV within the virus. What does HIV do? HIV cracks your cells open. It kills your immunity system. That's what makes it so dangerous. That's how you end up going into full-blown AIDS because of how HIV works. So
with that. Yeah.
So we're all basically babies again, and we're rebuilding our immunity system. If you had COVID or you got the jab, yep, you are back in square A.
It's just the jab.
Well, that's what the IDS and AIDS stands for. Immunity, autoimmune syndrome. Oh, God, now I can't remember
disorder.
But that's what the IDS stands for. It's the only thing is it's not auto. Autoimmune deficiency syndrome. There you go. Yeah. So
but
everything that, but minus the auto.
Not the actual virus. Just the jab.
Why most people didn't die of AIDS, they died of pneumonia because they couldn't fight it. So again, it's one of those things where guys, even the pneumonia vaccine, come on, you cannot vaccinate society to the point we've vaccinated. 72 vaccination on the required roster for kids. Are you out of your mind? All those chemicals going into those kids, it's way too much. Their immunity systems you're going to create. It's basically a kill pill at this point. You're creating a society. It's like I always said that. I always thought that homosexuality was something they did on purpose too. That they did something to our foods that affected our hormones and our genetics, that created this large blow up. Because before, there's always been homosexuals. There's always been even transsexuals, hermaphrodites. That's historical. It's always happened. But a very, very itty bitty part of the population was like that, or they're really wealthy because they just don't care.
Because the Times Frog's gay.
I've said it a million times. Ralphie's heard me say it. I always thought that homosexuality was a kill switch. Why? Because they don't reproduce.
Right.
They don't reproduce. So it's like, okay, the only way you can get them to reproduce is if you are literally doing what China's doing, which is, implanting babies in robots now. Okay. That's their new thing.
So should I bring up the ape experiments? Because I think that's actually where AIDS came from.
Well, we made it here.
No, they wanted to impregnate human women with the sperm of apes so that they could create an ape army. And it actually happened over
like Planet of the Apes. Yep.
That's where that was actually inspired off of. And that is a true story, by the way.
It is, and it actually started in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So that is true.
SM40, the SM40 thing, which is also in the jab, which is simian virus, which doesn't turn the switch on to close off that, it doesn't renew or re-put in the ability to fight off these things. They forgot to put that in there.
Well, this is what I'm saying. And anybody doing any kind of science, anything, you cannot play with genetics. You're not God. You're not the creator. You are not part of and we're doing science. No, you're not doing science. What you're doing is Dr. Frankenstein. And
that's
it needs to stop.
Transhumanism.
It's not even transhumanism, maybe, but I mean,
well, they're changing their DNA.
You've actually experienced a lot of that stuff, though, Vicky, in your profession. Like when it comes to those anti-blockers that stops or reduces blood. That's Frankenstein freaking medicine right there. They actually took a dog's head, cut it off, and put it on another dog's head so that they could freaking do the research on that.
I saw that video, man. That was awful to look at, but wow, yeah, that was awful. I saw that video.
And that's real medicine. They practice that stuff in the hospitals today.
I couldn't believe it. Its tongue, they were touching at its, tongue to show you that, like, look, it's breathing, it's thirsty, etc.
It's more developed
but again,
now.
It's like, but it's like, it's like we're watching our own destruction occur, and everybody's cheering. A bunch of people are really stupid. Oh, they're making disease go away. No, for every disease you fight off, there's a new, stronger disease that comes up in its place. They're called superbugs. When you do things and you're using pharmaceutical, in other words, not natural means to fight them off, you're using chemical means. You are literally, you create a resistance within your body. It even happens with natural stuff. You can't, like valerian root, great example. Valerian root is natural as it comes. It's like a natural form of Xanax. But if you take too much valerian root, you become immune to its effects. You build a resistance to it. It's the same with everything. But now what we have going on is we have like a superbug form of MRSA. And MRSA's freaking horrific. And I always say to people, do you ever wonder why MRSA is like the most common place you get MRSA? You know where it is? You want to laugh? Most common place to get MRSA. You would think it would be like, swimming in a sewer or something like that. Oh, no. It's the hospital. The hospital is the most common place to get MRSA.
Yep.
That right there should tell you something is seriously epically wrong.
Disgusting, dirty people, man. That's what it is. Those doctors just sit around not taking baths and shit and cutting people up and got blood all over their shirt. You know what I mean? And they don't even change. They just go right on into the next operation with blood on their freaking shirts. And
I can tell you that in nursing school, we did learn to use our gloves because before then, and I graduated in 1984, we didn't use gloves the way we did after AIDS came around. And everybody used gloves and washed the daylight out of their hands. But before then, no, you could easily have your hands in somebody's blood. It wasn't a big deal. After 1984, which is when Fauci got started. That's when everybody started using the glove.
Yep, using the glove, using the masks, and like I said,
glove. I use them because
I'm. Oh no,
we're not talking about the same gloves, Roger.
No. All right, guys, I gotta start wrapping this show up because we're going down to the last 3 minutes. I'm gonna start with you, Vicki. Tell everybody where you can be found.
You can find me on Telegram. My channel is For Such a Time as This. And on X, not very often, but at Booklander62.
And currently, you can probably find Vicki building a bonfire to burn Roger's glove. Roger! Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on... You can find me on Teams as Roger Hanson. You can also find me on Minds and X as Minds is Roger_Hanson and X is at ROGLOL1973.
I like that.
And currently, you can find Roger on Amazon ordering bulk gloves. Jason, tell everybody where you can be found.
You can find me at D-Live Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mark Edworthy, still awake over there. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Just barely. You can find me on Minds under the username Medworthy.
Sounds good. Raphael. Tell everybody where they can find you. Stop playing the video game. Put the remote down.
You can find me on Twitter at X_ice_1811.
And as for myself, you can find me, as always, on Twitter as Rider on the Storm. I am on Telegram as Wiccan Vixen, and Facebook as Nancy Planetta or Wiccan Vixen. Either one will bring my account up. With that, a big thank you to Mark, our producer, for doing the show tonight and struggling through with the rest of us, because we're all exhausted. I'm telling you, we are all feeling like we got hit by a semi. With that, we are out of here for the evening. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat station, for